nowadays. Speaking of movies, there's one called The 24-Hour War.
Look at you tying it all together.
I got to be a real radio professional with Adam Carolla here.
Yeah.
What's up, man?
That's right. And Nate Adams, welcome to the studio. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having us.
I'm all excited. Good to see you again. We had you on in New York.
Yeah, I remember it as if it was 14 months ago.
Yeah, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So is there a movie we're just talking about? Is there a movie that you feel like if you catch it midway, even on like a network with commercials, you find yourself you'll continue watching it?
Yeah, Taboo 2.
Taboo 2?
Oh, you didn't say it's a porn movie.
No. Taboo 2.
Yeah, I'll never leave
they
that.
Don't even know what that is.
Oh, okay. Well, you should Google that.
So young.
Oh, but you're talking about like a major theatrical release?
I feel like is that old, is that like
Casino.
old guy thinking?
No,
I
Casino. I would say
will have
Casino
to do
too.
Casino.
Because there's always like the next scene in Casino.
Yeah, but like we're saying, if it's a TV movie of the week, like you're not sitting through commercials.
It's like it'll take 4 hours. It'll take like 3 hours to play an hour and a half movie.
I watch commercials because it's so funny because nobody watches commercials anymore because you don't have to watch commercials anymore. I'll always come back and go, don't you hate this goddamn commercial? And someone will go, I don't know what you're talking about because everyone fast forwards.
That's the truth.
Them. But I watch commercials.
Well, people also watch them, with their brains checked out, not even realizing what's going on until you see that commercial for the fifth time and realize what they're talking about.
Well, you should watch. I'll tell you why. If your job is to sort of comment on life.
Right.
Then you should watch commercials because commercials are a snapshot of exactly where we're at right now. So
interesting.
Go back and watch a commercial from the 60s and it's all go-go-y and, car commercial. And then you see commercials like, imagine this today. Like when I was a kid, one of the big commercials was for like, Taster's Choice coffee. And the husband and wife, and just imagine this being made into a commercial today. The husband and wife go to another couple's house, and it's the end of the evening, and they're having some dessert. And the woman at the other house says, Bob, would you like a second cup of coffee? And his wife, like chimes in and goes, no, Bob doesn't. And she goes, I think I will have a second cup. And then she thinks to herself, he never has a second cup of my coffee. Like she beats herself up. Like my wife. Like my wife, it's insane, would beat herself up because her coffee wasn't up to snuff. You watch an 80s commercial with like Spuds McKenzie for Budweiser, and it's all those late 80s chicks by the pool.
The high-waisted bikinis.
Yes, the hair, the high-waist bikinis, the music, the palette, all that weird color palette they would use.
Yeah, the woman's bodies were even different. Like
everything.
Their asses were flat.
But
shows where you are. You're right.
Everything is exactly where we were. Right. It's a snapshot of us as a society.
Here's Spuds McKenzie right now.
Oh, there he is.
By the way, it's the deepest thought of the day.
Thank you.
Which isn't saying a lot about our show, but fantastic. Adam Carolla.
Totally 80s, right?
Spuds McKenzie, look at him.
By the way, it looks ancient now. That's the other thing. The advertising and the marketing is so ancient.
Right.
The quality, everything about it.
Now, watch a car. So you see a car commercial, and it's like Subaru, made with love. It's like, it used to be made with bonderized, galvanized steel. You know what I mean? Like, and an X-frame skeleton. Like, there used to be, like, Subaru makes trucks. I mean, off-road, all-wheel drive, whatever. Subaru in the 70s or the 60s wouldn't be talking about being made with love. They'd be talking about just how much steel was in one of these things. But think about our society.
Yep.
Now think
totally
about
different.
with the safe spaces.
I never thought of this. This way.
Look at all the commercials for Coca-Cola or Starbucks or Subaru or anything. No one's talking about how much calories or product or how little or how much horsepower or anything. It's all just about a good vibe now. Like, hey, little pussy kids, you feeling safe?
It takes some getting used to for sure. We have to.
There's a commercial that I was showing you the other day where
you got to go on your microphone.
There's a commercial I was showing you the other day where the girl's in a job
Tell
interview.
them that every interview.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
There's a commercial where the girl's in a job interview and they're asking her how much vacation she deserves, and she says, I need 3 weeks, and then like a unicorn comes through the wall. And it literally is what a millennial is now. I deserve 3 weeks because I deserve it.
Right.
Not because I actually did anything.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about the millennial thing for a second, but you said how people are perceived. The dad in the 60s ad, have you noticed, we've talked about how dads are now, they make dads out to be like the putsy dad, where dad used to be, we used to say the dad used to be the dad on Wonder Years. Like, dad used to be like a scary guy. No, Tom Papa, who does this? Tom Papa does a bit about this, or where dad used to be like
Dad's
this
now a putsy
scary guy, scary, fierce guy that the kids are scared of. Now dad's just like the putz around the house.
Yeah, well, it's all we have. I mean, the deal is, this is sort of how it goes. We have like 100 pounds of jokes and criticisms, per day, and we used to spread it out. We'd go, okay, there's a chick, we'll make fun of her. There's a gay guy, we'll make fun of him. There's a Polish guy, got some good Polak jokes worked up for that. We'd spread out our 100 pounds evenly. Well, now everyone says, hey, Indian guy, no more. Hey, gay guy. No. No fly zone over there. Hey, chick, no fly zone over there. Hey, guy, he's undergoing a gender reassignment. So, what? No. So now we still got 100 pounds of joke here. Where can we funnel this 100 pounds of joke? Hey, there's a straight white guy. Is he on the list? Oh, yeah. He's open 24/7. Okay, true. So let's just funnel all our jokes.
Straight white dad's a putz.
But
he's all you can make fun of. You can't insult down, right? That's the thing.
Right. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Wow.
But here's the thing. You know who built all the bridges, all the skyscrapers, and won all the wars? Straight white guys. I'm saying it right now. You can laugh all you want, but all the people that are, I always say, like the people that are making the commercial where the guy's dumping the pancake batter into the toaster and the fire's coming out and he's on the phone with his wife who's with her mom because she's sick. Oh no, honey, things are good around here. Okay, that's how guys are. Who invented the TV set? Who builds the TV sets? Who makes the camera? Who built the set that they're on? Who did it? Who did all that stuff?
Men.
That's right. So that's why we can sit around. If I wasn't so much more competent than my wife, I would feel insecure about this, and I would get angry at the TV.
Hey, do you feel awkward? Like that mindset, like we all agree with it and it's funny and everything, but if you're talking to the wrong person, they can get real uncomfortable. The butthole gets real tight in that discussion for a younger guy, for a younger person who doesn't see things that way.
I don't, my feeling is I'm not interested in other people's feelings. I'm just interested in the truth. Like,
fair enough. I hear it.
No, but you don't play the game of having to adjust at all, or do you stick with your mindset that it is what it is and that's how it is?
Well,
because we feel like, wait a second, we need to, we might have to change our way of thinking.
Like this Friday.
Right.
This Friday is, we're off Thanksgiving the day after. And we said, hey, Friday, Black Friday, why don't we just air the interviews with our favorite black men and women that have been on our show?
We've done that every year on my podcast.
Yeah.
By the way. And we're doing it in 2 days.
I was gonna say, just like we
do it on on Thursday. I'm not sure.
Like
no, it is Black Friday.
Yeah, every Martin Luther King Day we play like name that famous black guy. Like just so obviously
on Thursday,
clearly not.
On Thursday he does his favorite jive turkeys. Yeah.
Yes. No, I do. Thursday's my cranberry recipe show.
Oh, okay.
And then Friday is Black Friday. It's just black guests.
Yeah. So when you do stuff like that, I feel like it's almost like a second guessing. Like, do we want to do that? It's something like it takes like one asshole to get mad about it.
You're discriminating. Really, the ultimate discrimination is not including people into this group that you can make fun of because that's what people do with their friends, the people they feel comfortable
I'm with you.
around.
Yeah.
And so in a weird way, becoming that friend that you don't speak your mind in front of, or you don't joke around with, or you watch your P's and Q's around. Well, is that guy really a friend?
Nope.
All right. So like the ultimate inclusion, if you're talking about inclusion, because they never shut up about inclusion, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, part of what gets you, the price of admittance is getting made fun of, because that's inclusion. That's all part of the experience. That's how you know we love you. And when we stop,
makes a point.
It's really it doesn't change anything. It just gets us to not talk about you or your group or whatever it is. But it doesn't mean you're included. You're excluding yourself by saying you can't talk about us, or you can, but only in this fashion or that fashion. Never helps.
And here's a perfect example. Adam has gotten a lot of heat in the media at times for being a racist. The next documentary we're making is about the first black driver in the Indy 500, and Adam's paying for it out of his own pocket. So all the people out there calling him a racist are like,
right?
What kind of an asshole?
Exactly. You admire this guy.
Yeah. Well, no, but are they putting money out of their own pocket to tell a great story about the first African American driver in the Indy 500?
Now,
no, they're
this
not.
story, the 24-hour war, is this all out of your pocket too?
Yes, basically.
Yes.
It's all, yeah, we're doing something that's a little bit different, which is it's all out of my pocket, it's all up front, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then we put it on sale today, and we try to make it back, $16 at a time. And you can go to chassis, CHASSY.com, and we made a website. The Newman documentary's on there as well as the Bug documentary, which is a whole nother story. And that's it. It's a new experiment. I'm kind of following the mold of the podcast, which is do it with my own money, and build it and they will come, sort of thing. And that's the plan with this.
By the way, I want to talk about that. And last time you were here, we talked about how great documentaries have gotten. They just have gotten progressively better and better and better.
By the way, how much of a pain in the ass or a hassle to get all the old footage in this documentary?
Really? From 1963 and
before?
Do
people just not want to help? But someone may have an archive or something you need, and they're like, oh, maybe let me see if I have it. And you're like, I know you have it. You just don't want to help me. Was there a lot of pushback?
No, the worst is there are these companies in England and France where a lot of this footage lives because, and some of this footage is even from the early 1900s where cars are racing horses from the beginning. But the stuff from England and France, those guys are literally extortionists with what they have because they're the only ones who have the footage.
Yeah, so Le Mans in France, that's the setting for the race, and so the footage is out of France or in French. Sorry, go ahead.
And it's the rivalry of Ford and Ferrari. That's the story. Now, before we get into the story, I want to know, Adam, how do you get into cars and how do you know so much about this story? Were you raised into loving cars and racing? Is that just how you grew up? Or is it something you fell in love with later on in life? Or were you just looking for the story here?
I have a mechanical nature that is a strong part of me. And then it's thing. Our society recognizes if a child has a musical ear or yearning or whatever, if you talk to every single drummer, any drummer you interview in any rock band, it's how'd you get started? It's well, when I was 6, I'd be in the kitchen banging on pots and pans. And then I got my first drum kit when I was 9, and then you couldn't get me off it. So that's because that was in them. And you get it with music and many other things. The comedian who's always, his aunts and uncles would come over for Thanksgiving and he'd do a whole comedy set for him. And okay, young Billy Crystal. Okay, we get it. Now he's going to be Billy Crystal. But there is that exact same gene with the wrencher gene, with the mechanical gene. The kid that's always wanting to take things apart.
Growing up.
Wanting to build stuff and wanting to do that stuff. And it starts with a bicycle and it goes to a go-kart and then it goes to a mini bike and a car,
and
whatever.
That was you.
That was me, except for I never got the drum kit. My stupid goddamn parents would never buy, so I was always on the pots and the pans.
Right.
And then what I would do is I'd go to other kids' houses and I'd play on their drum kit or in their garage. They had garages with tools, and I'd bring my bike over to their house because their dad had tools and stuff like that. So my parents are a flat line. I mean, my dad, I don't think there's a human being less interested in cars, wrenching, or tools than my dad. And we can test this with Nate because my shop is in Glendale. My dad lives in Pasadena. My dad lives 6 miles away from the shop. Yeah. Still alive. Have you ever seen my dad at that shop? And if you did, have you ever seen him look at a car or inquire? Or have you ever seen my dad?
I have been there for 3.5 years. We have about 35 vintage race cars in the back of our shop that Adam owns and fixes up and restores. And no, I've never seen your dad there.
That's amazing.
People say, is your dad dead or does he live in Kentucky? And I go, no, he lives in Pasadena.
Yeah, he's right here.
He's right here.
So where did you get that from?
5 minutes.
What do you think?
Where Tommy Lee get his drumming from?
I don't know, but sometimes musicians run in the family.
Do you think that we had this conversation recently that do you think the whole idea of guys working on cars and that being a hobby will eventually just completely go away, or is there the middle of the country then I'm not seeing this happen? you picture old-timey times where guys would work in their driveway on a car. I remember my grandfather always fixing cars that didn't even probably need to be fixed. Yeah. But you don't see any young guys.
I think leasing changed that whole game too, where it's easier to lease a car for cheap than buy.
I've never fixed my own car. That's and I guess I could say I'm embarrassed to say that,
necessity.
But the truth
is,
can you
drive a stick?
Yeah, I don't drive a stick. I would never drive a stick.
How?
I don't. I could drive a car. I could drive a stick car if you need me to move it, but I'm not comfortably driving around town
quickly. But I'll say this. I have this thing. Well, look, you can't really work on your own car today because it's one big computer and diagnostic tool and blah, blah, blah. So you have to work on these old cars like I have. But I think the deal is this. I think as more and more people gravitate toward Prius and electric cars and cars that just self-driving cars and cars that smart cars and electric cars and blah, 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 there'll always be a group of guys who go harder core the other direction. I really believe, and this is why I have to study commercials. The rise of MMA's popularity is because we've turned into such colossal pussies on one end.
Got it.
Every time there's a new safe space made on a college campus, there's a new cage fighter that is born. And that's why, because there's always going to be this part of us that goes, safe space and hate speak and all that stuff. I want to see guys kicking each other in the head over here because that's part of being a human being. And so as long as there's going to be guys plugging in their cars and driving electric cars and stuff, there's always going to be a harder core group that veers.
But for music too, for as lame as music may get, the more growling you get on the other side. It's not even rock anymore. It's just growling.
Where do you think grunge came from? Hair bands. Like, you picture the guys with all the Aquanet and the eyeliner and all this horrible music they're playing, and then out of that comes guys just wearing flannel shirts that are torn and tattered, going up on stage. Like, and forget about putting on spandex. If the flannel shirt was new, they'd tear it up, put it in a ball, and then put it on.
For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Something like that, right?
Something like that. Something like that.
Here. Adam Carolla and Nate Adams is here on the Covino and Rich Show. The 24-hour war is the story. Again, it's Ford versus Ferrari. Now, again, I wasn't alive in 1963. So I was watching this, and I'm thinking, was this as big of a story as you guys made it out to be? Like, if you were around in that time,
or is this just a great feud that people really didn't know behind the scenes how they were battling?
Right. How big of a deal is this?
Le Mans is a huge deal. Was a huge deal. Like, it would get a couple 100,000
but
spectators.
For everyone in 63, because
66.
66. Everyone at that time, or just guys into racing and
cars?
It
would be on Wide World of Sports and stuff like that.
This is the first time ABC Wide World of Sports ever covered an event for the whole day.
Okay,
like it was a big deal.
And what happened in 63?
This is the first time TV cameras.
Did Ford lose in 63 to Ferrari? Is that what happened?
That was when Ford tried to buy Ferrari.
Okay, that's right. Okay, it was one of those, Rich, if you can't beat them, join them. And then Ferrari said, go F yourself. So then Ford said, all right, well, we're going to make our own car. They lost, they tried again, and this was a big deal at the time.
Yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, also, there wasn't, 300 news stations and 5,000 sports. There was in the Kardashians. It was like people had a little more focus back then. Yeah. Le Mans would take place once a year. It drew a huge international crowd, and it made the news. So when Ford got into Le Mans, obviously people here in the United States were pretty interested.
Well, the car lovers out there are definitely going to want to check this out. It's available today, right?
Yep.
Okay. November 22nd, which is today. Chassis.com, CHASSY, chassis.com, and iTunes, and that's where people can find it?
Yeah, and it's not I don't want to paint it as this sort of gearhead thing. We're very careful to make our documentaries that you can watch with your wife, your girlfriend, or whomever. It's not.
Yeah, it's easy to follow. It's not
or like non-gearheads. I don't work with. I have I have a podcast and then I have a shop. But the guys at the podcast, there's not a gearhead amongst them, but they all love the doc.
Yeah, it's just a great story. Yeah, great story.
Same with my wife. That's how I gauge these. Like, if my wife can tolerate it, then I know that I've done well. But also, this is a history of Ford and Ferrari. You're going to learn a lot about these companies and and also Henry Ford II and Enzo Ferrari himself. You're gonna learn a lot.
And that's
about
why we love
icons
these documentaries. Yeah, to
and,
learn something.
Yeah, you will really learn a lot of. It's also about business. This was all about money. It's the same thing about the world today. Still carries over today. It's these guys were building these race cars to sell consumer cars. Well, Ford was, and Ferrari just wanted to
Nate,
race.
he's giving you body language radio for wrap it up.
No, Nate. We have to break down.
No idea.
Thank you guys, Adam. Thank you guys for being here. More Covino and Rich next.